Hey everyone, Genome here with the next episode of Was It Good? Today, I'm going to be taking you back to 1987 for the comedy hit Spaceballs. Well, Spaceballs was Mel Brooks' somewhat late answer to the phenomenon of Star Wars. And he kind of, while it takes a lot of liberties with the actual movie itself, it kind of somewhat falls under the auspices of the first film. Of course, he puts his own stamp on there, and he takes great liberty, of course, with the license itself, but apparently he had the blessing of George Lucas, so hey, no harm, no foul, right? So let's get into a little bit of the actual movie itself. Now, first of all, it was written and directed by Mel Brooks, of course, as he is wont to do with his movies. He also plays two different characters in this movie. He plays President Scroob and the immortal Yogurt, giver of wisdom and blatant Yoda clone. But it's kind of funny, he kind of puts his own stamp on him. He sort of fuses the character of Yoda with the Wizard of Oz. So basically his throne room and all that, but you know, you'll see some bits of that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and go over a couple of the characters. First up, we have Princess Vespa, played by Daphne Zuniga. Apparently she wasn't too keen on the role at first, but she liked Mel and his directing style, so she decided to go for it. Her character is kind of central to the story in the fact that she's the Princess Leia clone. And, you know, the whole movie is based around getting her back to her wedding that she ran away from in the first place. We have King Roland, her father, who's played by Dick Van Patten, you know, veteran actor. He's got just a little bit of screen time in the movie, you know, maybe about 5 minutes. But we got Lone Star, the hero of the movie. He's played by Bill Pullman in one of his first big screen forays. We got Barf, played by the talented John Candy. He is the Mog, the half man, half dog, analogous to Chewbacca. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that Lone Star is something of a cross, I guess mostly due to the movie's length and, you know, not gonna have sequels and all. He's something of a, not just a really a cross, a fusion of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker all at once. So he's the main superhero, I guess, of the movie. Dark Helmet, he's played by Rick Moranis, always dependable, all Rick is. The somewhat comically named Colonel Sanders, played by George Weiner. And for voice roles, for a few of the characters that aren't really seen in their human form, we have Joan Rivers playing Dot Matrix, the C-3PO clone. And one of the regular actors for Mel Brooks movies, Dom DeLuise, as Pizza the Hut. Also really humorous, and it was a great job getting him in there. Was for one of the scenes toward the end where they parody Alien, and they actually got John Hurt to reprise his Gilbert Kane character, and it has the chest burster and all come out of there. So kudos, John, to reprising your role ever so briefly, even just for a comedy. So, critical reception of this movie was pretty mixed. I think it got 2.5 stars from Siskel and Ebert. You know, the main reviewers at the time. The movie had a budget actually of around $22 million. So while it was pretty high, especially for a comedy at the time, the movie looks more expensive than that. I mean, it really looks good. Most all of the effects and practical effects in the movie look real good, much above its budget, as compared to some movies who have a much bigger budget and look awful. Spoiler alert here. Here's a brief synopsis of what's going on in the movie. Princess Vespa is scheduled to be married to Prince Valium, basically because he's the last prince left in the universe. So she basically has to marry him for, you know, appearances for the royal family and all. So she runs off. She's kidnapped by the Spaceballs. Spaceballs are the Empire in this movie. And so she is rescued several times from Spaceballs by Lone Star and Barf and all. And in the doing of so, they crash land their Winnebago, their space Winnebago, onto a desert planet, which is obviously supposed to be Tatooine. They meet up with Yogurt, Yogurt being the Yoda clone. And once again, Princess Vespa is captured by Spaceballs. They run off with her. Lone Star gives chase. There's a rescue scene from the inside of the Death Star, which is actually their giant Super Star Destroyer ship, which is also kind of a fusion between the Star Destroyer and the Death Star. So, and not only is the ship a fusion of those two, it's also a fusion of another pop culture thing from the 80s, the Transformers. It actually transforms later on in the show. They call it metamorphosize.
Metamorphosis completed, sir. Spaceball 1 has now become Mega Maid.
But that was kind of funny how they got that going. But you know, it's just basically the hero's journey in comedy form. So old Mel, he keeps the tradition of including ethnic humor in his movies very much alive in this one, and you know, he's about the only filmmaker who will dare to do it. And even by this point, you know, it just people weren't taking chances of that sort of thing anymore, and then Mel would just do it. And especially he would do it with you know, Jewish stereotypes.
Thanks for the gas, Yogurt.
You're welcome.
In this movie, at least in the Yogurt character, he's really like channeling his George Giselle and Lou Jacoby in his old you know, Upper East Side old New York Jewish man kind of routine.
You're hiding me.
Kind of a la Dr. Zoidberg from Futurama, you know. And you know, he's done this character in several of his movies. But, you know, he does it well, so what the heck, right? Why ruin a good thing? But, you know, you have to give it to Mel. With movies like Blazing Saddles and History of the World, you know, he wasn't afraid to do something a little more extreme to get a laugh, you know. And while this movie was much tamer in that regard, you know, he still went and did it a little bit. You know, some scenes like this.
What is this place?
It looks like the Temple of Doom.
Sure ain't Temple Beth Israel.
Or this.
How dare you speak to me that way? You will address me in the proper manner as your Royal Highness. I am Princess Vespa.
That's all we needed. A Jewish princess.
Or even this.
Tell them to comb the desert, do you hear me? Comb the desert!
Yes, sir.
Found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir. How about you? Not a thing, sir. What about you guys? We ain't found shit.
Kind of just show that, you know, he was willing to take a chance as a filmmaker, and almost no one else ever is. So, you know, kudos to you for that, Mel. Also, kind of in the same vein is, now if you have any kids listening, you know, might want to send them out of the room here because there's going to be a little bit of foul language, you know, nothing too bad. But another aspect of Mel's movies that I really like is he doesn't really have a whole lot of profanity in his movies. He doesn't have to for humor. But he will work some profanity in there, and it is always hilarious how he does it. He'll have someone just come out and blurt something out like a normal person would if seeing something incredible. Like, take this scene.
My hair! He shot my hair! Son of a bitch.
But he just does it constantly. I can show you a scene.
Holy shit!
After scene.
Stop this thing! We can't stop. It's too dangerous. We've got to slow down first. Bullshit! Just stop this thing!
After scene.
Oh, What are we doing risking our lives for a runaway princess? I know we need the money,
Listen, we're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
Where he incorporates just, you know, a little bit of profanity extremely well, and it works when he does it.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
And his cousin?
He's an asshole too, sir. Gun is made first class Philip Asshole.
You know, he doesn't lean on it for humor. He just uses it to accentuate his humor, so he's also very talented when it comes to that sort of thing.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo!
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
As opposed to most other directors who are not. So, as far as the humor in this movie, or even more apt is what I think about it, you know, watching this, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, probably back around the time it was released or so. I might have caught it on TV or something in the years in between, or at least a piece of it, but I hadn't actively sat down and watched it since probably the 80s. I'm disappointed in the fact that I just remember it being funnier than it actually is. You know, sometimes when you do a parody movie, you are kind of locked into the source material a lot, and it doesn't let you branch out, you know, and be as free with your ideas as you normally would. I just remember this film being a lot funnier than it is, and compared to some of his more original works, like Blazing Saddles, History of the World, you know, etc., etc., I don't find this one nearly as funny. And it tries. It has a lot of sight gags, a little bit of slapstick humor. You know, that's not really my cup of tea.
Hey, stop looking at my can.
Sorry.
But it doesn't have a lot of the just, I don't know, the quirkiness of some of his other movies.
There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry. Lone Star!
Producers, 12 chairs, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein.
Colonel Sanders, may I speak with you, please?
Yes, sir. How can there be a cassette of Spaceballs the movie? We're still in the middle of making it.
Thanks. Well, we better get going. I wonder, will we ever see each other again?
Who knows? God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2 to search for more money. Look this way, take a look. We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
You idiots! These are not them. You've captured their stunt doubles!
He did it.
And in all honesty, I think a lot of the actors in this movie don't do the best of jobs. I'm not altogether sure that it's their fault. It might be the writing and direction that was off, but some of the actors could overcome that. Rick Moranis, of course, once again, who played Dark Helmet, and George Weiner, who played Colonel Sanders, both those guys were definitely the highlights of the movie for me. They seemed to take it really serious, and they gave it their best in every scene, you know.
Prepare to attack.
Prepare to attack!
On the count of 3. 1, 2... Wait! What happened? Where are they? I don't know, sir. They must have hyperjets on that thing. And what do we got on this thing? A Cuisinart? No, sir.
The other characters didn't really seem to come alive, especially Bill Pullman, who really, I don't know, maybe the character was just written like that, but his character is very, very, very forgettable. And, you know, I've seen him in some other things. I know he has some acting chops, so it might just be the script. But, you know, the biggest waste here is John Candy, though. I don't find that character funny at all.
Hi.
Who are you?
Barf.
Not in here, mister. This is a Mercedes.
Nah, that's my name.
I know what they're doing. He's the Chewbacca of the movie. And actually, Mel made him to be the half human, you know, the Mog, half human, half dog, instead of just a totally furry character, because they want people to recognize John Candy. You know, I believe his quote was, "If I'm going to be paying for John Candy, I want people to see John Candy. They don't want to see, you know, a walking rug or whatever." But yeah, I don't find the Barf character funny really at all. He has like one pretty funny moment. We'll get it right here.
Holy shit!
And of course, you know, it involves once again some of Mel's trademark profanity in odd places. But so yes, I mean, there's some funny aspects to this movie.
Oh, shit. No. No. Please. No. Whoa! Oh.
But I think as an overall film, it's nowhere near the level of comedy of some of his other more original works. So some of the comedic, you know, aspects of this movie are really all over the place. He'll just throw in, you know, stuff like this.
Not if we jam it.
Aha! You're right.
Down scope.
Radar about to be jammed.
Or this.
Abandon ship! Women and Mogs first!
We'll have none of that, mister. How far did he get? What did he touch?
Or this.
Helmet, what's going on?
Sanders, what's going on? It's Mega Maid. She's gone from suck to blow.
There's just a myriad different types of humor situations in this movie. Unfortunately, they're a little disjointed and kind of, you know, interspersed at a strange space.
She's not in there.
But maybe it's just me not appreciating the overall product as much as I should. But there's definitely, you know, there's definitely some humor to be found here.
You have the ring. And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
So let's get down to brass tacks here and find out, was it good or not? Well, I'm gonna say this movie is okay. You know, out of 5 stars, that would probably rate it around a 2, maybe 2.5. I'm actually kind of up there with Siskel and Ebert. It's got some pretty funny moments.
Shit! I hated when I get my Schwartz twisted.
But the overall package of it is just not my cup of tea, really. Because I know what a talented guy Mel Brooks is, and this one seems definitely one of the weaker outputs of his. This is not to say it's all bad. I don't want to be a downer here and get you saying, well, I'm not going to watch that movie because Genome says it's not good. It's okay. Some would probably find it hilarious, you know.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage.
If you can turn your brain off a little bit and enjoy a good comedy every now and then, hey, this movie probably just fine for you. And you know what? It wasn't painful to watch. I mean, I wouldn't knock down the doors of the movie theater to go see it again, but I mean, it's a decent to good movie, and it's interspersed with some pretty funny moments.
Thank you, Your Highness. What did you do? I turned off the wall. No, you didn't. You turned off the whole movie. I must have pressed the wrong button. Well, put it back on. Put the movie back on. Yes, sir. You gotta get that thing fixed. We're back, and we have the combination. Plug it. What? We're done with you.
You know, there's no denying that. So, you know, take my review with a grain of salt. I mean, just because I find it okay doesn't mean you know, others won't find some comedy gold to be had here. But in my opinion, this movie is just okay. It's not what you would call a classic. Unfortunately, it's probably the most well-known movie of his, other than maybe Blazing Saddles. and it's kind of a cult following, you know, from the 80s or whatever. But all I'm saying is don't go in there expecting Citizen Kane, or in the comedy world, don't go in there expecting Blazing Saddles, you know, level of polish and perfection, really. So anyway, hopefully that wasn't too depressing for any fans of the movie, but yeah, it's okay, bordering on good, but not great. So anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey, if you want to chime in on what you think about this movie, or if you like or dislike my review, just put something down there in the comments below. I'll have more episodes of Was It Good coming up shortly. Also some more Hearthstone play coming down the pipe. So make sure to stay tuned. Well, until then, this is Genome, out.